You are about to throw away the most valuable thing in your garden. Not your compost, not your topsoil, not the raised bed kit that cost you $300 and will rot in 5 years. I am talking about that pile of branches behind your shed, the logs left after the last storm, the dead wood your neighbor is paying someone to haul away this weekend. That wood is not waste. It is a long-term water reservoir sitting in your yard. It is a slow, steady, natural feeding system for your soil. It is a living underground network that gets more productive with every passing season, and it costs you absolutely nothing to build. One buried wood bed, no drip lines, no irrigation timers, no bags of fertilizer every spring. Just wood, soil, a technique so ancient and so effective that farmers in Central Europe used it to feed entire communities through droughts, and over time, the technique faded from common gardening knowledge as modern agriculture and new growing systems became dominant. It is called Hugelkultur. The word comes from German and means mound culture or hill culture. And in this video, we are going to walk you through the exact steps to set up one of these beds yourself, what goes into it, what to expect along the way, and how to keep it producing for years to come. By the end, you will never look at a fallen branch the same way again. Let me start with what most gardeners are dealing with right now. You build a raised bed. You spend real money filling it, good topsoil, compost, a drip system to keep up with watering through July. First season, it performs beautifully. Second season, still decent. By the third season, the soil has settled, the fertility has dropped, and you are buying more amendments just to keep pace. That is the nature of a system built on imported inputs. Without regular additions of compost and organic matter, the soil in a raised bed gradually loses the structure and nutrients that made it productive in the first place. You are not doing anything wrong. You are just maintaining a system that was designed to need maintenance. Now imagine a bed that works differently. One that is at its roughest on the day you build it and steadily improves from there, building water storage, building fertility, building soil life largely on its own. That is what a Hugelkultur bed does. And to understand why it works the way it does, you need to go back about 1,000 years. Medieval farmers in Germany, Austria, and Eastern Europe did not have garden centers. They did not have drip irrigation or synthetic fertilizer or bags of potting mix. What they had was poor land, short growing seasons, and the pressure to feed their families from it. And in that context, they developed something that modern soil science is only now fully beginning to explain. When a tree falls in a forest, it does not simply disappear, it transforms. Mosses and fungi colonize the bark. Ferns push roots into the softening core. Insects move in, earthworms follow, and within a few years, that fallen trunk becomes one of the most biologically active places in the entire forest. Ecologists call it a nurse log, a structure that does not just break down but gives life as it goes. Those farmers looked at what the forest was doing naturally and copied it deliberately. They gathered fallen logs and dead branches, stacked them into long mounds, layered organic material, soil across the surface, and planted directly into the top. What grew from those mounds was notable. Crops that needed far less watering, soil that darkened and deepened with every passing season, yields that held through dry periods when flat garden beds struggled. The technique spread by word of mouth and became common practice across forested regions of Central and Eastern Europe, particularly in Germany and Austria, where fallen wood was abundant and the growing season was short. It cost nothing to build, required no special tools, and made practical use of material that would otherwise go to waste. Over the centuries, as farming mechanized and flat fields became the standard, the method gradually faded. Tractors needed level ground. Chemical fertilizer was cheap and fast. Hugelkultur had no industry behind it, no one selling it, no reason for it to survive in a world built around convenience and scale. It was not abandoned because it stopped working. It simply stopped being taught. One farmer who brought it back into practice was the Austrian Sepp Holzer, who used Hugelkultur alongside terracing, water management, and broader permaculture design on his mountain farm in the 1960s. He faced considerable resistance, including heavy government fines, but his results on land most farmers would have written off demonstrated what this kind of system was capable of in the right hands. His work introduced many people to the technique who had never encountered it before. This is where it gets practical. Building a Hugelkultur bed does not require special equipment or a large budget. Most of what you need is probably already in your yard or available for free. But it does require some understanding of what you are building and why each layer matters, so let us walk through it properly. You begin by choosing your location. Full sun is ideal, most vegetables and fruiting plants need it, and the bed will perform best where light is not the limiting factor. Once you have your spot, the most important decision is your wood source, because not all wood behaves the same way underground. Hardwoods are what you want. Oak, maple, beech, birch, apple, alder, poplar, and fruit tree wood all decompose slowly and provide long-term structure to the mound. The older and more weathered the logs, the better wood that is already soft and punky, maybe covered in white fungal threads, is ideal because it is already partway through the process that powers the whole system. Partially rotted hardwood holds water better, breaks down more evenly, and introduces beneficial fungi into the bed from the start. Resinous softwoods like fresh pine or spruce can be used in small quantities, but in large amounts they may slow microbial activity during the early stages of decomposition, so it is better to let them age before burying them if that is what you have available. Never use pressure-treated, painted, stained, or chemically preserved wood under any circumstances. Those compounds will leach into your soil and affect everything growing above them. Cedar and black walnut are also best avoided in large amounts, as both contain natural compounds that can inhibit plant growth. Free wood is more available than most people realize. Tree service companies regularly need to dispose of logs and branches and will often deliver material at no charge. City public works departments collect storm debris. Neighbors clearing trees are usually happy for someone to take the wood off their hands. You are solving a problem for them while building something for yourself. When you are ready to build, you lay your largest logs down first as the foundation layer, packing them tightly together to minimize air gaps. This matters more than it might seem. Large voids in the lower layers become empty spaces as the wood decomposes, and the surface above them can sink and settle unevenly. Smaller branches and woody debris fill the gaps between the big logs. Once the wood layer is in place, you add what is arguably the most important part of the whole build: a generous nitrogen-rich layer across the top of the wood before any soil goes on. Fresh grass clippings, vegetable kitchen scraps, coffee grounds, aged manure, any green, nitrogen-rich organic material you have available. This layer is not optional. Without it, the microbes beginning to break down the fresh wood can temporarily draw nitrogen from the soil above, which can leave your plants looking pale and starved in the first season. The nitrogen layer feeds the microbial community, getting established in the wood, and prevents that early shortfall. On top of that goes a layer of leaves or straw, which creates a transition zone between the woody core and the planting surface and helps moderate moisture and temperature. Then you cap the whole mound with 6 to 10 inches of good topsoil. Water the entire mound deeply before planting to get moisture all the way down into the wood core. Total cost for the whole build runs from nothing to around $50, almost entirely depending on whether you need to buy topsoil. Now, what can you expect once it is built, and what are the honest trade-offs? The first season is the roughest. The mound is new, the biology is just establishing itself, and fresh wood in the lower layers may cause some nitrogen competition early on. This is normal and manageable. Plant nitrogen-fixing crops like peas, beans, or clover alongside your main vegetables. In year one, they draw nitrogen from the air through their root systems and deposit it in the soil, actively supporting fertility while the buried wood is in its earliest stage. Squash, pumpkins, zucchini, and tomatoes tend to do well in first-year mounds because they are heavy feeders that respond strongly to the initial flush of nutrients from the decomposing organic layers. The mound will also begin to settle during the first couple of years as the buried material compacts. A bed that starts at a meter high may noticeably decrease in height over 2 or 3 seasons. Simply add compost or mulch to the top as it settles. This is regular maintenance that also continues to improve the surface layer. The genuine advantages of the system become clearer from the second year onward. The buried wood behaves like a sponge. Wood cell walls are built from lignin, and as fungi break that lignin down, the interior of the wood becomes porous and highly absorbent. Decomposing wood can hold significant amounts of water, far more than the same volume of soil, and releases it slowly upward through capillary action into the root zone during dry periods. This means your plants have access to stored moisture even when it has not rained for a stretch. And because the water is delivered from below, the leaves and stems stay dry, which significantly reduces the conditions that allow fungal diseases like powdery mildew and blight to take hold. How much watering you will still need depends heavily on your climate, your soil type, and the size of your mound in dry climates. The reduction in irrigation needs can be dramatic. In wetter climates or heavy clay soils, the effect is more modest. What is consistent across most conditions is that you will water less than you did before, sometimes considerably less. Calling it irrigation-free is an overstatement for most gardens, but calling it a meaningful reduction is entirely accurate. The buried wood also releases nutrients as it breaks down nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium gradually become available to plant roots over many years. This is a supplemental fertility source, not a replacement for compost or other soil management. Wood is relatively low in nutrients, particularly nitrogen, and the release happens slowly. Think of it less as fertilizer and more as a long-term background supply that reduces how much you need to add from outside. Hardwood logs can take 15 to 20 years to fully break down in a temperate climate, and in cooler regions even longer. That slow decomposition is what gives the bed its durability. The system does not peak early and crash. It builds gradually and holds. The fungal dimension of a Hugelkultur bed is worth understanding because it is part of what makes the system different from simply adding organic matter to soil. Decomposing wood is the preferred substrate for mycorrhizal fungi, the same organisms that form the underground networks connecting plant roots in natural forests. Ecologist Suzanne Simard's research at the University of British Columbia demonstrated that these networks are real and functional, moving water and nutrients between plants through the soil. When you create the right conditions for these fungi in your garden, your plants gain access to a broader root system than they could build alone. The exact benefit varies depending on what you are growing and what is already in your soil. But the principle is well established. Plants growing in fungally active soil generally perform better than those growing in depleted, bacteria-dominated soil. And Hugelkultur beds, built around decomposing wood, are among the best environments a backyard gardener can create for that kind of biological activity. A 2024 study published in Communications, Earth and Environment found that sites using buried wood methods showed significantly higher soil carbon, lower bulk density, substantially more earthworms, and greater plant species richness compared to control plots. These are not marginal differences. They reflect a fundamentally more alive and productive soil environment built over time by the biology the buried wood supports. The most common question people ask about nitrogen is whether burying wood will harm their plants. The concern comes from a real phenomenon. When fine wood chips or sawdust are mixed into soil, the bacteria that break them down are nitrogen hungry and can temporarily starve plants in the process. But large buried logs are decomposed primarily by fungi, not bacteria, and fungi handle nitrogen differently. They cycle it through their networks rather than pulling it from the surrounding soil. The University of Wisconsin tested this directly, comparing Hugelkultur beds against control beds, and found the Hugelkultur beds did not show nitrogen loss. They showed higher nitrogen levels than the controls. There can still be some nitrogen adjustment in the very first season, especially with particularly fresh wood or in certain soil conditions, which is exactly why the nitrogen-rich layer and the nitrogen-fixing companion plants matter most at the start. By year 2, the system is typically self-balancing. One honest limitation worth naming: Hugelkultur beds work best in well-drained soil or when built as raised mounds above grade. In very wet climates or heavy clay soils, the lower layers of a sunken bed can become waterlogged, which slows decomposition and can create anaerobic conditions that are harmful rather than helpful. If your soil is heavy or your rainfall is high, build the mound up rather than digging down, so excess moisture drains naturally away from the wood core. One of the most common questions about Hugelkultur beds is how long they last and what you need to do to keep them going. The honest answer is that a well-built bed improves steadily for the first several years and then gradually levels off as the buried wood approaches full decomposition. Most beds reach peak performance somewhere between years 3 and 8, depending on the wood species, the climate, and the mound size. After that, the bed does not fail. It simply becomes very good, well-structured, biologically active garden soil rather than an actively decomposing mound. Many gardeners find their Hugelkultur beds are still their most productive growing areas long after the original wood has fully broken down. When you notice the mound has flattened significantly, the soil has become very fine and uniform, and you are no longer seeing the moisture retention and fertility benefits you once did, that is the signal that the wood core has done its work and the system is ready for renewal. The way to restart it is straightforward. You can either build a new mound on top of the existing bed, adding a fresh layer of logs and organic material before capping with compost and topsoil, or you can dig out a portion of the old bed, bury fresh wood beneath it, and rebuild from there. Either approach essentially starts a new 20-year cycle on top of a foundation of the richest soil you have ever worked with. In the meantime, between that major renewal and right now, the main ongoing maintenance is simple. Add a few inches of compost to the surface each season as the mound settles. Mulch the planting surface with straw or wood chips to retain moisture and continue feeding the surface biology. Continue planting nitrogen-fixing crops somewhere in the rotation each year to support soil nitrogen levels. And if you notice sections of the mound sinking unevenly, fill those areas with compost and firm them down before planting. That is genuinely the full maintenance routine. The system handles the rest. A raised bed is a tool. It works, it has its place, and many gardeners get excellent results from it. But it is a tool that asks something of you every season: amendments, irrigation, eventually replacement. A Hugelkultur bed asks the most of you on the first afternoon you build it, and progressively less from that point forward. The biology takes over, the wood does its slow work, the soil deepens and darkens and comes alive in a way that a filled box sitting on top of the ground simply cannot replicate. The materials are free. The labor is a single weekend. The result is a bed that feeds itself, waters itself, and builds the kind of underground life that makes every plant growing in it stronger, more resilient, and more connected to the soil around it. That pile of branches behind your shed is not yard waste. It is the foundation of the most productive garden bed you have ever grown. All it needs is to be buried. If this changed how you think about your garden, share it with someone who is about to spend $600 on a raised bed. And if you want more techniques the gardening industry would rather you never found out about, subscribe. We are just getting started.